Welcome to SEN Insights, powered by Rubric. I'm Paul Clinton, CEO of SEN and your host today. In each episode, we connect with sector leaders and practitioners to discuss the challenges, opportunities, and ideas shaping student experience. Let's get into today's conversation. G'day everyone. Today we're exploring a powerful collaboration at the University of the Sunshine Coast that is redefining student safety and culture through the lens of sport. Joining us are Hoey, Safe and Respectful Campuses Advisor from the Safer Communities team, and Aleisha Howey, Student Sport Engagement Coordinator. Together, along with colleague Jess Lane, who couldn't be with us today, they've bridged the gap between administrative compliance and genuine student connection by embedding prevention and wellbeing directly into the student sporting experience. From their Be That Teammate campaign to innovative live drama training, they are proving that when professional boundaries are lowered in favour of authentic partnership, the entire student community benefits. Let's get started. Welcome, ladies. Just if you'd like to quickly introduce yourselves to our listeners and we'll get started.
Yeah, Aleisha, do you want to go first?
No, you go first, Carly.
Oh, thanks. So my name's Hoey. I am based at the University of Sunshine Coast at the Petrie campus, and my official title is Safe and Respectful Campus Advisor, also known as Jack of all trades, master of none. Aleisha.
My name's Aleisha Howey, and I'm the Sports Engagement Coordinator for the University of Sunshine Coast, overseeing all our sport programs across 5 campuses, but based at the Sunshine Coast.
Fabulous. Thank you both. Welcome, ladies. Really pleased to be having you today and talking about this important subject. But before we start, a little bit about the background and personal journeys. Carly, you mentioned when we first caught up about being a jack of all trades, and you just mentioned it then again. With a background in teaching, project management in the UK before landing at UniSC, how has your kind of diverse experience shaped your approach to student wellbeing and safeguarding?
Yeah, it's been a bit of a wiggly route getting to this space at the University of Sunshine Coast. It's not been a linear career path for sure. But I think with that becomes a whole different perspective, so many different perspectives on gender-based violence and safeguarding well-being. So it's not been a linear approach that I've come from a service, etc. The way I've done it has given me really different perspective in terms of how you might design concepts, how you might evaluate concepts, how you might engage with different stakeholders, how you look at return on investment, which isn't a very nice word in this area, but really thinking about the impact you have, and is the university's money really going into the right places in terms of evaluative tools, etc. So that really helps this work, just that broad perspective and those different areas that you might not traditionally have.
Fantastic. Thanks for that. Aleisha, you transitioned from being a UniSC student and athlete into the UBL program to now coordinating those very same programs that you were a part of. How does your lived experience as a student athlete help you advocate for your peers today?
I think initially it was pretty easy because I knew exactly myself and what myself and my peers wanted as a student athlete, or what we needed to thrive and feel supported in these programs. So one of the biggest things was, most student athletes might be struggling with money. We don't have a lot of money for food. So bringing in our snack bags to our programs where food's available at all times for student athletes, or the next one was exposure. So capturing events and highlighting attendance and student athlete participation. Students absolutely thrive seeing themselves on social media or seeing themselves having fun in good environments. So
Who doesn't like a bit of that?
Bringing in things like that from my own experience into what I know students will appreciate and utilize. So the other thing that from my experience was communication, like that communication of saving the date early on so that student athletes knew what events were happening later in the year where they could participate or be utilized, not leaving things to the last minute. So I think those 3 things, food, exposure and communication, is what I've brought from my lived experience into my role now.
Yeah, and certainly from my time at UK Sport, I was amazed at the level of commitment and dedication some of these elite athletes put into their sport, in addition to studying full time. I remember one of the swimmers saying to me that she trains 35 hours a week, as well as her university study, as well as working.
Yeah, that's a
Just
full-time job.
yeah, that's right. That's an incredible level of commitment. So, and you both have international backgrounds. Carly, obviously from the UK, like myself, and Aleisha, you spent 6 years overseas, including training with monks in Tibet. How do those global perspective influence the way you both read kind of emotional intelligence and build community here in Australia?
You can go first this time, Aleisha.
Um, I think the biggest thing I got from my 6 years abroad was appreciating and taking opportunities here in Australia and not taking it for granted. So I really do see myself as a yes person, especially when I was a student. If anyone said to me, would you like to participate, or do you want to be a volunteer, or would you like to run a program? I just said yes to everything. I didn't take that for granted. So I really like to implement those opportunities for students as long as they're getting something out of them, like whether they're getting leadership or experience, or enjoying their time with us as well. So yeah, I think that's probably the biggest thing that I got from living overseas, is really being truly grateful for the opportunities that we have here in Australia.
Yeah, yeah, and it's easy when it's around you every day, all day, to lose sight of that and forget that, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah, great
definitely.
point. Carly, how about yourself? Coming from the
Yeah, I think
UK, the old
yeah, there's
country.
2 points here. Like, I think coming from the UK and until I moved to Australia, I think I took for granted how diverse the UK is. And it's very different in Australia. Coming from where I'm from in the UK, which is Leicester, it's very, very different. And I think being able to support students in the journey of inclusivity, being mindful and respectful of other communities and other people is really important. And, exposing our students to some of those diverse beliefs, viewpoints, faiths, etc., is really important. Um, the other thing I've taken from my time in the UK, working with students and also traveling myself, is that everyone's different. Every single person's
Mm.
different. And in the HE, we have this thing of students as a homogenous group. They are not. Every single person in that student demographic is different. And we really need to start to be drilling down on student experience in the space of gender-based violence. We can't just do a one-size-fits-all lecture, for example. It's really thinking about what do students want and what will students best respond to within their little groups, cohorts, cliques, etc. So
Yeah,
that for me is one really big thing, just recognizing that every student is different. Yeah.
yeah, I love that. I love that. I've actually made a note of it. It feels like a podcast all on its own. The individuality of students. So I will come back to that. So moving on now, let's talk a bit about collaboration and how it brought you two together. Um, it actually started through a student matter handled by the Safe Communities team. Can you take us through that initial kind of light bulb moment where you realised sport was the perfect vehicle for your prevention work?
Do you want me to start with this one, Aleisha?
Yeah, you take this
I
one
love the
away.
tag teaming
Yeah.
that's going on here, you two.
We're like chop and change. We'll see who's in the mood for it.
Yeah.
So yeah, so Aleisha had actually brought to our attention a student matter, and it went over to my big boss. Fantastic. And then it came down to us as like, maybe there's some room here for some prevention work in sport. And we were like, okay, great. Had a bit of a look. And I'm a massive sports lover anyway, as Aleisha knows. So I was like, yeah, let's get into this, let's get into this. And then you really start to look at sport and gender-based violence and harmful behaviours, and there is such a culture of how to put it? Well, let's look at Lance Collard in the news recently with the AFL and the homophobic slurs. There's such a culture in locker rooms and on pitches of, oh, it's just banter. Oh, it's just what we do.
Yeah,
And I
yeah,
think it was a real way to get into these students, say, hey, not every student is like this. There's some really great students out there. B, as a group, let's challenge these behaviours. Let's go against what is the norm. Let's go across these rigid gender stereotypes. So as we started to explore and look at papers from Our Watch, UniSport, look at the research, we realised that sport is really a great, great, great visible ground to put some gender-based violence prevention work into. That was a really bad sentence. Put some great work into. So yeah, you know what I'm trying to say. And
yeah.
so that's how it came out, really. And we started to work together. And then I think when the national code with gender-based violence came in, it was a real opportunity to say to the university, we've been doing this work, we now have to do this work, let us continue. How did it feel from you, Aleisha, though, your perspective?
I think as our sporting grows at UniSC, we looked at what our goals were, and our goals aren't always just to go out and win. I think a successful trip on the road was that we have no incidents, no behavior issues, that we're good humans and have a great experience. So for us, our performance isn't everything. You know, if you say to me you're going to go and compete for UniSC on a national level and have the best experience of your life, even though you might have lost by 10 to every single game, I think that is just as valuable to us as winning a gold medal. So we're not here just for medals and performance and elite athletes. We're here for overall participation, good experiences, to ensure that students are safe, having a good experience, and go and tell their mates, and that we hold a high standard of wellbeing for all our students on these trips, because let's be honest, these programs aren't going to continue if we had incident after incident or bad reputation. And I think our reputation is more seen by our behavior than a gold medal, or just as equal to me. Like if we were to win a gold medal but have an incident report, it almost takes that away, you know. So we want to ensure that our students are prepped with the knowledge to go away and be better humans for it, because sport is more than just the performance. It's what happens off the court or on the sidelines as well. So bringing Carly and her team in really inflicts that kind of culture into our groups of students, because there are so many that are across wide programs that are involved, and just a constant eye of that purpose as well. So that be that teammate, which I'm sure we'll talk about soon. But it's just that constant reminder that sport is bigger than just what happens in the moment or just the score line. You know, it's about the person that you are and what you can bring to your teammates. So yeah, I really think that our collaboration has been vital for sport and culture moving forward.
Yeah, great. Just a brief segue, ladies, a little bit off script here. I wanted to ask you, if I can, Aleisha, how do you see what you're talking about there, which I totally agree with, alongside how things have developed at Unisport? Because, you know, Unisport back 5 years ago was exactly that. It was about the whole experience. Yes, you had your number one squad, and they went there to win, and it was very competitive. But you also had your sixth basketball team, who were there just to have fun, and it was very social. And I think the risk involved with the whole wider event closed that down, and it's now very much, you have one team for each sport, and it's very much focused on winning. Do you think we've lost a little something in there?
No, I don't think so. I think our culture and the people that we're recruiting for these teams and the leadership training that we're giving to our sports team leaders, it's still an overall very fun experience. We do induction evenings, we do culture training, we do trivia nights. Like, there is a lot of fun component. It's just more in a safe aspect and delivered, monitored now, so it's not just the students running off not supervised. There's UniFest that's come into Unisport Nationals, so it's a controlled event for students to go out of sport and have fun and connect with other students, but in a very safe environment. Obviously they are adults, so they can still, we can't control them 24/7. They're still going to go and get up to whatever they get up to, but we really want to prep them with the tools to make the correct decisions and ensure that they know that they are here to represent UniSC and they're here to play sport, and that's first and foremost, and have an incredible experience, and we want everyone to do that safely. So I don't think it's taken away. If anything, it's removed the bad components or the incident reports that would jeopardize funding moving forward. And I think Unisport have really led the way in that, and I understand why it's happened, and I think it's coming at a good, safe respect for that. So
that's a great response. I think my wider concern was more about the amount of people that get to experience it now, as opposed to the old wider approach. But I totally agree with you, what you're saying about it, and I love that you've highlighted the fact that they are adults. What you do is give them tools and let them make a decision, rather than treat them like school kids still. So that's great.
We definitely can't bubble wrap, but also on that, maybe Nationals has a higher standard to go out, compete, and be at a standard to win. But there's lots of local intervarsities where our participation continues to grow in social sport and local intervarsities. So there's like our numbers are still through the roof of growth. It's just kind of segregated now between social, local intervarsity and on a national level.
That's great. Okay, let's get on to Be That Teammate. The campaign, as we've discussed before, has a slightly more colourful, unofficial name amongst the students. And people who know me know that I use this expression myself because I think it's a great catch-all for how society should move forward. Why is it so important that we use language and branding that actually resonates with students rather than sticking to corporate compliance speak, if you like? And listen, rather than you guys having to say it, it's don't be a dick. Okay, I'm comfortable to say it, and I don't want you
That's
to have to put
Carly's
yourselves
favorite
in that
part.
spot.
She would want to say that.
No, it's why it's so important is, again, it comes down to the students are individuals with their own interests, their own language, their own rhetoric. And unless we start to really drill into their language, their behaviours, what they want and what they do, we will not reach them in such an important space around gender-based violence and harmful behaviours. So yes, it is an unsavoury name, but the fact that they shout, "Oi, it's don't be a lady," means they remember me from the training.
Yes,
It means
100%.
they've remembered me from one of the countless lectures and trainings they've had.
Yeah.
So I find it quite funny and quite endearing. And actually, I was at the Griffith Bowl varsity on Saturday with the rugby league team, and they're like, "Are you training us again this year?" It's like, "Yeah, oh, it's not too bad." But again, that just shows to me, A, they remember who I am, what the campaign
Yeah.
is, and what the training's about, because we've really drilled down into that language.
Yeah.
So when we look, for example, with that Be That Teammate training, we try and make it as fun and interactive as possible, though it's always some sort of icebreaker, isn't there, Aleisha? Last time we did the
Yes.
TJ Paranara frying pan Whitney Houston icebreaker. I'll let you Google that. And we really include as many examples from sports as possible. We get them to demonstrate their sports where it's where we can. So we have lawn bowls practicing their throwing down the aisles. We just try and make it fun, because when we look at the learning retention ladder, you learn with your lectures about 5% of it is retained by actually doing it, experiencing it, going and teaching others. You move down this learning retention ladder. So if we can get them to actually listen and go out and do and see that face, whether it be myself or my fantastic colleague Jess, who needs a shout out, they're starting to see and remember that messaging. So we're really present in their lives throughout. And the name is just something that they like and has stuck. So yeah, and they get water bottle stickers, they get all sorts of merch with it on as well. So again, it's that constant present to be that teammate throughout.
Yes. Yeah. No, that's fabulous, and I love the fact that they're getting on board with it. Aleisha, from the athlete side, is the feelings that Carly's mentioning here, is that mirrored in the feedback you get about the program?
That's a very good point, actually, Aleisha. Do they like me?
I can also speak from my 5 years as a student athlete. If you put us taking us away from our schedule for 2 hours, which is what we do to all our students that compete on a national level, they sit through 2 hours of cultural training, Be That Teammate, and induction, and that's where they get their uniform packs. If you make that boring, they are going to switch off. They're not going to care. They're not going to be invested. And they're probably going to go tell their mates, it's not worth it, don't go. But sitting in the back of the room every time I do and watching Carly break the ice and getting them chatting, it's like a team bonding session. Essentially, it breaks them out of their barrier. It gets them talking, gets them comfortable so that if something ever does go wrong, they're comfortable enough to come and report it. They know who to talk to. They're not shy, like really just not trying to break down that barrier so that we are someone you can come and say, disclose to or speak up to. So it's definitely changed the dynamic, and I think it brings that culture together, and it reminds us again, if we've got that campaign running when you're on the field, even when things get heated and you might be very passionate and something might not have been called your way, you're still representing UniSC. You've got to do it with a level of behavior that is acceptable across all of us. And I think Carly being on the sidelines for rugby league is such a big component, because they know, like, it's almost like you wouldn't want to disappoint someone that is that invested in you, because we are invested and we're advocates for our student sport. We want everyone to experience that. So don't don't be a dick, don't ruin it for the next lot coming through. So yeah, I think it's definitely, it brings our culture, and it creates the culture that we want here. So and it's been fantastic. Like, it's just continuing up and up since they've been involved. So definitely no bad comments from us, or
You're
no bad
safe, Carly.
feedback from us.
Your impression
I
is
say,
it's been validated. That's great.
I've just remembered one of my highlights from nationals last year actually is I was 9 months off the plane into Australia, and I was watching Aussie Rules. I'm from Britain. I haven't got a clue what Aussie Rules is.
No,
And
no.
they made me score. I could score an Aussie Rules match. I'm
Oh, yeah.
sunburned, I'm sweaty, I haven't got a clue how to score. If I was allowed to do a don't be a dick spiel to them, because it was getting a bit heated, they're like, yeah, okay, cool, but you have to score Aussie Rules. So I had to learn how to score Aussie Rules on the moment so I could give my spiel. But this was part of the fun. It was,
Yeah.
you know which group it is, don't you, Aleisha, without naming
Yes.
names. So, and there's this photo of me, and I know Aleisha will know which, and I'm just like, with the scores, and there's behinds, there's goals, there's males, there's females, and
Yeah,
there's just me very sunburnt holding this bit of paper. But that was part of the fun, just that joining in with the
Yeah.
fun,
yeah.
saying, come on
Getting
guys, let's
stuck in.
just, yeah, let's
Yeah.
just take it down. How do we actually negotiate here? What do we want to say our feelings are in a constructive way? Let's cool down. Yeah, I will score. So it was really, really a highlight, for sure, and what I never
Was
want
the
to again.
scoring done correctly is what I'd like
I've got
to
no
know.
idea. I've got no idea. I just put the little
Oh
tally
dear.
charts
You'd
on.
have
It was
heard about it
fab.
if you got the wrong if you'd have got it the wrong way around, you'd have heard about it, Carly, definitely.
Yes, definitely.
Um, so Carly, you mentioned that sport is traditionally a high risk area for things like hazing and bullying. And I've got my own history that we could share if it comes up. But what specific changes have you guys seen in student behavior since you've started showing up at social sports and training sessions?
Yeah, I think what we've definitely started to see, and this is evidenced by the referrals that are coming into our Safe Communities response team, is we're definitely starting to see more students identify harmful behaviours and
That's great.
behaviours of concern. And for example, last year at Nationals, we did have a student come to us and say, look what that other team's doing. That's not appropriate. You told me about that in a session, and we were able to report that through to Nationals. So we're really starting to see this increase in referrals through around harmful behaviours. We're also really starting to see the language being mirrored throughout the trainings and the teams I see on the fields as well. So just that deployment of those tools, as Aleisha's talked about, to go and play games safely and in a respectful manner. So again, just thinking back to one of the matches I watched a while ago, another team was absolutely kicking off, lots and lots of slurs being thrown, and our team said, no, it's not how we deal with this, we won't be dealing with this, and walked away and just had a chat,
Yeah,
and we talked about how we could report that up. So that was really powerful. The wider impact is, though, is that because there is a face, myself and Jess, in that area, we're also starting to see the effects trickle through to the wider wellbeing. So we're starting to see mental health referrals increase. We're starting to see a lot more interaction with the wellbeing team per se from the sports teams and students that we're seeing and working with. So really
yeah.
powerful. Yeah.
That's great. And, uh, and I mean, to either you, but probably more to Aleisha, being in sport daily. Do you notice a difference between sports? Because one of the things I noticed coming here from the UK, I grew up with soccer. I played soccer. I'm a lifelong Spurs tragic and all that kind of business. But
Oh.
yes, don't please, let's not go there. Um, but I feel that there is the governing bodies of the games have some responsibility to take into this, because one of what I noticed playing, because I played rugby union as well, being from the south in the UK, and then coming over here and loving rugby union, rugby league, AFL, the governing bodies and the referees have such a better level of respect that actually the behaviour on the pitches, yes, they might lose their temper and punch on, but the level of respect and the way they talk to each other is a lot better than you see in soccer. Do you see that kind of variety across sports, or do you think that everyone's lifting it the same way?
I definitely think there's a difference, and having a couple of years under my belt now where for 20 years sport was basketball to me, and for the last
Hmm.
3 years it's now everything from lawn bowls to 10-pin bowling. and everything in between. So I definitely know the problematic, possible problematic areas moving into these bigger nationals, like the Perth Nationals coming up later this year, where we'll have 30 sports on offer for our students, be sending approximately 20 teams. And there are certain sports that will stand out to me in rugby league, having that respect for their governing bodies. That's not the problem area. The problem area might be injuries, probably in that sport, because it's more high risk, it's more contact sports. That's where our incidence, or that's where our focus might be, is that a lot of students will actually play through injuries and make it worse. Whereas basketball, things can get quite heated if you don't have a referee, or the students, I'm going to put it on both, managing the game correctly. It can get heated and out of control quite quickly. So yeah, I definitely think that it's the standard continues to rise, but across all areas, but there are certain areas that need certain more support in different areas. Even just water polo, being a water-based sport, is a high risk. Like we've really looked into the risk. It's much a higher risk because of the risk of playing underwater all the time. So just having that knowledge and awareness as well for our staff, that when we are on site, to keep an eye out for those things, really makes a difference, I think. And the more experience you have in sport, the more that'll continue to grow. And Carly can also hyper focus her area on sports that might have higher intake of reporting, whether it's physical or mental injuries. So definitely being aware of that definitely helps manage.
I think as well, just to add to that, sorry, Paul.
You go on, Carly. No,
we
not
see
at all.
in the media as well as huge amounts of press coverage of AFL, homophobic slurs, racism, and the behavioural concerns that we are trying to challenge. And it really does in some ways put a spotlight on those teams at nationals to really not be those people, not be that person.
Yes. Yeah.
And so they can almost be, I don't want to say unfairly watched, but there is almost that extra level on the rugby lads, the AFLers, the rugby girls, in those high risk, high profile sports, to really not display those harmful behaviours and to really think about it. Because if not, they become, oh yeah, of course, it's AFL. Yeah, it's expected. And it's not. Just because your high profiles, and again, I refer to Lance Collard as a great example. We have a huge number of AFLs going through the courts at the moment on domestic family violence charges. You're trying to say to them, you don't have to be part of that. You can change the narrative here. So
100%.
There is almost an extra pressure on those to not live up to what the media is portraying. And I think that's a big pressure for students to take on. And I think it's something that we really have to support them to do, to say, no, you can be better. You can be that teammate. Challenge that behaviour, call it out.
Right. It's almost beholden on them to change the culture moving forward, because they're the ones that are coming up through.
Yeah. And a lot of our students are going to be teachers. So when we look at our demographic of nationals, a lot of them will be teachers. So they will be challenging not only their peers, but they will be teaching the future about what is acceptable and not in terms of behaviours. So it's a really crucial point, and it's a heavy weight on their shoulders that they don't know they have, and we don't want to burden it, but we can only support them with it so they can change the future for not only themselves, but for the future of those that are coming through the system.
Yeah.
Fabulous. Okay, so let's move on now to innovation and impact. Aleisha, you manage everything from social sports to UniSport Nationals, as you said. How has having Carly in the room for the logistics and planning part of that changed the way you prepare students for the risks in interstate travel?
I think it just takes a whole load off my shoulders. It's not my area of expertise. And I will toot my own horn. I'm a very good hype woman, and I am very organized. So if something does get said in passing or reported, I can't let it go. Like, I will always follow up in action. But I think having Carly, who knows the ins and outs of pre and post incident reporting, or pre and post incident, it's just makes the whole flow of incident reporting so much better and so much more thorough, so that there's a start, a middle, and an ending, and a good outcome for everyone. So I think it preps our students with well awareness and knowledge. Like I said, we just want to give them the tools and hope for the best, like not the best, but we want to prep them for the best outcome.
Yep.
But if something goes wrong, and it always does, we're never going to be 100%, even if it's a personal matter
No,
that
because
goes
these
on
are
or
humans you're
anything.
dealing with.
Exactly. And they're young adults as well. Everyone's got stuff on
Yep.
their stuff happening in their life, and we've got the right avenues. We know exactly where to point them to. And I found majority of my role is a one-man job, but if these students feel comfortable enough to report or disclose something to me, it's not my area of expertise. I organize sport programs. I don't respond to there's areas in the uni that do that, but because
Yeah.
we're bridging the gap there, I felt like I would pass on a link or an email to these students, and they didn't utilize it because they don't care. They don't want to talk to a stranger. They wanted
Yeah,
to
it's
talk
not
to someone they
relatable.
knew. Yeah, but now being
Yeah.
able to pass it on to Carly, someone that they are very familiar with and have that good relationship with, or at least Carly speaking to them about their options, I just feel like it really breaks down that barrier that we had, and
Yeah.
that's why we're now getting a lot more students reaching out to us. And it also takes a little bit off my plate to have that duty of care well-being on my shoulders, because I didn't give them maybe the time and attention that they would need. But now having more people supporting them in that area, it keeps them, like, that could potentially keep them enrolled at uni, and they're going to now
Yeah.
finish their degree for 2 years. Like, I feel like it has such a bigger impact than we think.
That's
But
right.
yes,
I don't think you're absolutely right. I don't think it can be understated. It can be anything from a slight falling out with someone on a pitch to ruining a life.
yeah,
And everything in between. So I think
yeah.
the work you're doing is fabulous, and that kind of symbiotic relationship that you guys have there is fabulous to see. And
I
moving
can't
forward, go
speak.
on.
Oh, sorry. I was going to say
No,
I
please
can't
do.
speak highly enough of Carly and Jess and how they've brought themselves into. They recognize that I directly liaise and have programs that are so direct with so many students, and this is just a platform for them to come in and assist and make it better, and spread the support services so that students can't walk away saying, I didn't know we had counseling services, or that you could report an
Yeah.
incident if you didn't feel safe. Like, I feel like we'll start seeing much more of that in a good
Yeah.
way, because now the service is being promoted through sport, and sport already links with so many students. So it's a win-win, definitely.
That's right. That's right. And actually, I think you'll find it has a compounding factor because, any old marketing 101 will tell you that the power of the word of mouth is so much more effective than, any marketing campaign. So all of
Yeah.
these guys that are having good experiences and using these things and knowing about the links is just gonna spread. So I think it's great. So Carly, you're currently working with creative industries to try and develop a live courtroom drama for training. Tell us about that and how you're shifting that away from, boring PowerPoints, and how maybe interactive learning is key to this cultural change you're trying to make.
Yeah, so it again just came out of a connection, and I think connections and relationship building in this space can't be underestimated. People are keen to try things new, to be innovative. And if I can just rewind a bit, Jess and I, when we first started, were very, let's have a look at this, let's try and launch this. And no one came, no students came, because why would they? Like, there's so much on,
Yeah,
why
yeah.
would they? So Jess
Well,
and I
free food
actually,
always helps.
oh yeah, the pizza, the good pizza. So Jess and I really thought about partners in prevention. And
Yeah,
that's what our little network's called, Partners in Prevention, our PIPs. And it's getting to, and this sounds awful, getting to and accessing students from where they have an identity already. So
yeah,
where do they identify? Where are the communities already? We know sports is a big community. We know we have our guild goers, for example. We know we have our library students. So if we can connect with these partners and access students through those channels, we are going to have a better result. And we did. We went
yeah,
from zero engagement to hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of engagement and hundreds of students trained. And the creative industries came through this partners and prevention. Us going, guys, do you have any students that want to design things with us and learn about GBV? Yes, great. So we've had some stuff actually built into the curriculum. So in semester 2, they will be doing this, fingers crossed, they will be putting together a theatre performance. Lots of different groups in the creative industries area will be putting together briefs, proposals around a courtroom drama, around being a good upstander.
Yeah.
And Jess and I will then watch and choose. From there, we'll then be putting on that live performance for the sports leaders and attendees of nationals. Again, taking it away from the PowerPoint and making them think actively, using their phones, real life consequences. In the performance, if this happens and I vote for this, what does that actually lead to? So really getting them to put into practice those tools they're starting to develop through the trainings we've given already, and really starting to see consequences of their actions of not standing up or being an upstander. So that's what it was born out of. Watch this space. It could be an absolute flop. It could be an absolute hit.
I'd love to hear about it when you've done it.
Yeah, we don't know, but let's just try. What is the worst that
Try something
happens?
different. Yeah.
Try something different. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But we have tried something innovative and different, because it's so easy just to put some slides up and go click, 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 done. And that's not addressing students who are people.
And going back to your piece about retention, it'll be memorable.
Yeah.
So much more than giving them a PowerPoint or an information flyer to read through. So no, I think it's a great concept. I'm excited to see how that develops. So you touched earlier briefly on, and I'd like to ask more about the collaboration itself. Has, as well as, you know, some really important parts around racism and bullying and gender-based violence, you've also seen an increase in mental health disclosures and wellbeing referrals out of this. Why is it you think students are feeling more comfortable reaching out now to your team?
Yeah, so we've got a fantastic wellbeing team at the University of Sunshine Coast, headed up by Aleisha, and there's a huge number of specialist experts in counselling, accessibility, our safe communities team, health promotion. And I think that the increase in reach out is realising, A, the services are there, B, there's a familiar face. And that is down to a huge number of different people, you know, myself, Jess, etc. And we know word of mouth and familiarity with faces is so important in well-being. If I take us back to COVID, for example, and I did a huge amount of work for the university I worked for back in the UK in COVID, and the vaccination programs, I lived in a low uptake vaccination areas. Okay. What we had to do was put a face to the message around vaccinations. So we spoke to the local imams and said to them, please speak to your trusted people, your congregation, to encourage them to take up vaccinations for COVID. It's a trusted space in a trusted space. And that's what we're aiming to do, become a trusted face in a trusted space for these students. That's the really key bit. Okay. And recognizing these and not just being a number on a screen they can call or an email they can email, actually being a person to a person, standing shoulder to shoulder with them and thinking about, okay, what options do you have? What can we do to support you? And that's really key, because they might have told this person, have told their story, their struggles. They might have disclosed to their doctor. They might have disclosed to their friends. They might have disclosed 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 times what's going on. They don't want another disclose. So who is that person that can just stand by and say, I'm listening to you, right, here's where you can go for support.
No, that's great. Okay, finally, let's just wrap up with a bit of advice for our listeners, and I'd be interested in both your perspectives. For other student experience professionals listening who might feel that their departments are a little bit more siloed, what would be your number one piece of advice for building the kind of open door collaboration that you two have achieved in this program? And Jess, let's not forget Jess.
Yeah, don't forget Jess. She's amazing. You go first, Aleisha. Go on.
I would just say that putting aside time to build those networks is so vital. Like, had Carly have reached out and I just said, oh, I don't know who you are, I don't have time, because my time is very limited, and I do have a lot, you know, back-to-back events all the time. But for us to have established that relationship and just to continue to build and build and build on it, it's now making my life easier. So I think investing time into that networking and into departments that are already established can make such a huge difference, and it has made such a huge difference in both of our lives. It is our collaboration is win-win really for students. So I can't see myself moving forward with that. Win-win. I can't see
well, the students are winning as well as both of your departments winning.
Definitely. Yeah,
that's great. Carly?
See students as individuals. See them as individuals. think about what communities they exist in, where they identify, so for example, sports, and really, really go to those connections and just knock on the door to the people that oversee those spaces and say, hey, do you want to try something new? Shall we give it a go? Just ask is my big thing. Just ask, try it, and what's the worst that happens? You don't do it again. But you've
Yeah.
got to start with seeing students as students wanting something new and innovative and thinking about who can help you in that space. It's so important.
Yeah, that's
Please
great.
don't kill them by PowerPoint as one homogenous body.
Yeah, that's it. And listen, why do that anymore? There's so many other options out there.
I don't get it. Like all the research shows, you know, like learning retention ladders, all your latest teaching practice, everything is lectures are thing, and then you still lecture. I don't get it. Like
Oh,
it baffles me.
yeah, let's not get into that. That's a whole podcast all of its
Yeah,
own.
cut that one out.
Lecturing and even worse, Blackboard, because most of them just
Oh,
don't go there, watch it in a 1.5 speed on Blackboard or YouTube or whatever
yeah,
afterwards. It's not learning, and it's not good for retention. But that's a different problem for a different day. But yeah, absolutely. Listen, I can't tell you how enjoyable this has been from my perspective. So grateful to have you both on the pod today. We will share this widely, and I'm sure people will be in touch to hear more about it. But thank you both. Good luck with all the rest of it, and I'd love to hear from you after you've done your courtroom drama. See how you get on.
Let's see. I might not be here. It might have been a complete flop.
I don't think it's going to cost you your job, Carly.
Thanks, Paul.
Thanks.
Thanks.